Alex comes out for Street Fighter 6 on the 17th of March, so this is just in a couple of days. And with Capcom Cup being finally over and with Capcom promising a new balance patch with Alex, I figured this is the perfect chance and the final chance to talk about Season 3 of Street Fighter 6, the good and the bad, and ultimately whether this season was a good one or not. And I'm gonna keep it short, I'm gonna keep it honest. Season 3 for Street Fighter 6 was okay, but ultimately it felt kind of like a filler season. You kind of have to understand the hype going into year 3 of a Street Fighter game, because for games like Street Fighter 4, this is when we got Super Street Fighter 4, when they added 10 new characters, but also they added Ultra Combo 2 for everyone. And that was really exciting, that was a big shakeup. For Street Fighter 5, this was also when Capcom really tried to steer the ship of Street Fighter 5 into like a solid direction, and they added, this was like the arcade edition, so bunch of new characters as well, like a year passed, but they also added like V-Trigger 2 for everyone, which was like a very substantial shakeup to the game. Now with Street Fighter 6, Capcom took it a lot slower. They did actually adjust the mechanics a little bit. The first thing they did was a change to perfect parry, where they made it so that there is a mid parry and there's a low parry, and they added the imperfect parry. This is what Ryu is doing right now. Ryu is set to go for a low perfect parry, so it will only trigger if I did a low attack, right? And this was a great change. Maybe you don't remember because you haven't played the seasonal patch like year 1 or year 2 of Street Fighter 6 in a while, but perfect parry was very strong, but more importantly it was very frustrating to play against, because people would throw out stuff like that, which is -2, and then fish for a perfect parry, and if they happened to get it, it was great, and if they didn't, well, it wasn't super risky. The change to perfect parry did a lot to make fighting against it much less frustrating, because it added intent. Now you know that, okay, this guy knew I was going for a mid, this guy knew I was going for a low, so you're not as likely to get frustrated, so that was a great change. Another change that Capcom made is the change to throws, where now notice this, when Ryu escapes the throws, actually make his gain into standard. When he takes that grab, Ryu immediately gains a lot more drive. He gains 1 tick of drive gauge, but also he is gaining super meter, right? Take a look at the bar on his bottom right. It is actually, I don't think you can actually see it, but it is going up, right? Which that also was a change that in hindsight, like when you're playing, it doesn't feel that impactful, but more as the season went on, I started noticing that people are getting like level 3 supers in round 1 much more often than they used to in the prior patches. So this one is, I still not sure if it was a good or a bad change, if I'm being honest, but it did shake up the game because now there is more meter for everyone. Now when it comes to year 3 as well and what it added, we got to talk about the characters, right? Now I am gonna be including my with the characters added to this year. If I'm talking about year 3, season 3, we're talking Capcom Cup 11 to Capcom Cup 12, right? Now technically my did come out before Capcom Cup 11. If we actually check out Capcom Cup 11, Capcom Cup 11 took part during, I believe it was like March 15th. Yeah, it was March 5th of 2025, and mine came out on the 15th of February. So she came out just 2 weeks prior to Capcom Cup 11. So if you actually check out the participants and the placement for the prior year Capcom Cup, there is almost like no Mai, right? If I actually zoom in a little, oh, that's too much. That's too much. If you actually check out there's Xiaohai use her very sparingly, but Mai wasn't really a player. She wasn't really a factor in the Capcom Cup 11, right? But for Capcom Cup 12, Mai was Thanos. Right, Mai ended up being a demon. She is the undisputed most annoying character in the game. I talked a lot about Capcom Cup 12 and how Japan think Ed is the best character in the game, and how the West thinks that Mai is the best character in the game. But yeah, she was a very impactful character in the season. We also got Elena, which didn't leave a huge impact on the meta, but generally I like Elena. I think Elena was actually like a pretty cool addition, and I am glad that Raihan managed to do like good stuff with her in Capcom Cup. Yes, it was modern Elena, but I'm glad that the character got some representation. Because outside of Dogra, there wasn't really anyone that was doing any work with Elena, so I really enjoyed seeing her. I think she's a really cool character. Sagat is a very popular character. He is now like the second most popular character in the highest ranks. Like Masters is just a sea of Sagats. He's everywhere. He is a character that when he first came out, people didn't see his trends immediately, but with the patches and with how Blaz plays his character, everyone now thinks Sagat is really good. Some will even say that Sagat is a problem character and he's too easy, anyone can win with him. The opinions are here and there, it's everywhere. And finally we got Viper, which I think was the best character for me out of this 4 character patch. I think Viper was easily like the coolest character because she brought the most. If you take a look at all of the DLC characters that have been added, I think Ed and Viper bring the most newness to the game, right? She's really cool. She brought back execution into the game, some things that haven't been in a Street Fighter game in a while. I don't think Street Fighter 5, maybe Minat was like a hard character, but Viper definitely added it, and her and Bison are by far my 2 favorite DLC characters. So I think character representation in general was pretty cool. Now, a big part of year 3, a big ask that I had and that many others did as well was for Capcom to change the GUI, change how the game looked, because this is also was one of the things that changed with the prior Street Fighter games. You have to consider that Street Fighter 6, you can talk about it being a good game, you can talk about it being a bad game, but I'm not here or there. Street Fighter 6 is definitely a stale game, and it needed a shot in the system. It needed at least to look a little bit different, and Capcom actually did do that, right? They added the Battle Hub design, which in theory is really cool, where they gave us like the designs for like Street Fighter 2, for like Street Fighter Alpha, for Street Fighter 3, and these are really cool. And obviously they added like a brand new one for this game. Unfortunately, they made it at a premium price, where I believe this is like $5 for this change of HUD, which ultimately I think made it so that a lot of people did not buy it. In general, the content game for Street Fighter 6 have been kind of lacking, right? Where it feels like we're being drip fed content, right? Because when you take a look at the costumes, ultimately we had like what, like 8 costumes this year. We had like the Zangief, Mecha Zangief, which is pretty cool, and they had the swimsuits for Manon, for Kimberly, for Cammy, for Shun, and for Aki. So a couple of characters, handful of characters. I feel like overall it was like 8 costumes, and maybe 9 if we included the crossover Asiba or whatever costume for Juri. So not a lot, right? During an entire year, not a lot. Now, funny enough, this is an upgrade over year 2 of Street Fighter 6, where year 2 we didn't get any new costumes, but getting like 7 or 8 costumes per year and getting the changes to Battle HUD being made did a lot to gate that content from the players. The people want more skins, they want their characters to look cool, to look unique, to look different, and it kinda stinks that all of the outfits 4s are seasonal costumes as well. I feel like maybe we needed to be at outfit 6 or 7 to be at a point where we're adding like summer costumes and winter costumes, because they also revealed that Elena and DJ are gonna be getting summer costumes for as well, which I mean that's lackluster. So there is some DLC content that's being added, but it's nowhere near the level that it needs to be to sustain a happy player base. And ultimately, obviously, we have to talk about Capcom Cup 12 and the fact that it was a pay-per-view event, which did hurt a lot of the excitement for it. I personally, I obviously didn't get it. I didn't watch it. I saw the free events up to top 16, but I wasn't gonna be down to pay to see someone getting throw looped. And sure, I will probably check it out eventually when it comes out and they release it to the public, but am I gonna care that much at this point? Not really, because it's gonna be on an older patch, we're gonna have a new character out, we're gonna have new stuff to do, so hopefully things will improve from this point going forward, although I don't know. All in all, this seems like a year where it really did feel like just a filler episode. Right, a filler arc in the Street Fighter 6 storyline. We got some fine tuning to the mechanics, which was good, but ultimately people want new stuff to play with. They want new tools, right? They want to have substantial changes to the meta, and it doesn't seem like Season 3 provided that. It did improve the experience, the change to Perfect Parry was good, but it's not the shot in the arm, it's not the thirst that we need to push the game forward a full year just with that. People are kind of frustrating with the balancing. Mai was a demon and she was left being a demon for far too long. Ed has been a demon for far too long. JP have been a demon for far too long. So obviously they're doing a balance patch, but ultimately what people really want is changes to how the meta is being played. Street Fighter 6 is still a great game, it's still a game that could be so much better. It feels like there's always the rumors of Capcom not having a lot of workforce on this game because they're working on Monster Hunter, but I feel like this game is doing well. I think this game is being played a lot, it seems to be huge in Japan, so I don't know. I just wish that we'll finally get like some real momentum going with Season 4. Overall, I will give this season like a 6 out of 10. It's okay at best, it's playable, but it's not very exciting, and I don't know if Street Fighter 6 is gonna run out of steam, especially in the West, if Capcom keeps up this pace of content, characters, and just lack of support in general. Thank you so much for watching, and stay safe.